Erin Lillie-McMains. I'm the SEL Facilitator for South, and SEL stands for Social Emotional Learning. And my team here for Ruler, which is the Social Emotional Learning or SEL curriculum that we're going to be using in District 25. My team is Dr. Jim Morrison, our principal, Sherry Rosen, the associate principal, Jody Benton, ELA teacher, Katie Paulson, instructional coach, and Kevin Osmansky, math teacher. So when we look at social emotional learning and Ruler, what we're stating is that emotions matter. Emotions and what we do with them influence attention, memory, and learning, decision making and judgment, relationship quality, and that doesn't just mean romantic relationships, we're talking about friendships more importantly, physical and mental health, and everyday effectiveness, so at home, in the classroom, and at work. We look at attention, memory, and learning. Have you ever tried to pay attention to something when you're really anxious? How was that? Presumably difficult. If your child comes to you for homework help and you are distracted by disturbing news, how does that affect your conversation? If your child arrives to school feeling upset, how do you think that they will try to learn in class? So our emotions definitely drive our ability to pay attention, our ability to remember things, and our ability to learn. Decision making and judgment, I think anyone who's been frustrated on a highway knows that emotions influence our decision making and our judgment. Different moods lead to different types of decision making. For example, waking up after a poor night's sleep, how would that affect your deciding what to do with your teenager over the weekend? Several studies have shown that adolescents' risk-taking is greater in strong emotional contexts, such as the presence of peers or in the context of competition. It appears to be at the root of poor decision-making during adolescence. So again, being able to make wise decisions, to manage those emotions and make wise decisions is super important in adolescence. When we look at relationship quality, research has also found that adolescents who are good at managing their emotions, those who are emotionally skilled, have better quality friendships, better social skills, and are viewed as leaders by their teachers. Emotionally skilled caregivers, teachers, and parents experience more positive emotions and have better relationships with their children. Physical and mental health, I think coming out of the pandemic, although I guess we haven't really come out of it fully yet, we've all learned that stress and emotions and dealing with emotions strongly influence our physical and our mental health. Emotionally skilled adolescents have less anxiety, depression, and hyperactivity. Many health-related illnesses are a result of poor emotion regulation. So knowing what to do with our emotions improves our health, and isn't that, in the long run, what we want for our children? Everyday effectiveness. Although we sometimes think of social and emotional learning as like the soft sciences or things that sort of come after the nuts and bolts of learning how to do a job, 8 of 10 employers say social and emotional skills are the most important to success, and yet are also the hardest to find. Learning is social and emotional. The transition from elementary school to middle school occurs alongside changes in the body and the brain that make adolescents more sensitive to things such as social acceptance, social rejection, and other people's emotional cues. At the same time, academic demands increase as adolescents go from one teacher to many, and not to mention they meet new peers, a larger peer group. They may feel the need to manage all of these things independently, which makes social and emotional learning that much more important. This is the definition that we're working off of when we think about social and emotional learning: the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. And this definition comes from CASTLE, which is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning out of UIC downtown. This is a brief introductory video to Ruler. It is from the Yale Child Studies Center. Ruler was developed by the Yale Child Studies Center, and this just gives you a peek at some of the main concepts.
Ruler makes our school a better place.
I feel that Ruler has helped me because I'm able to show who I really am. I think after having Ruler come in, I've grown so confident and just like what I've always seen myself to be.
Ruler asserts that all emotions matter. All emotions. It's the full range of emotions that makes us human, and it's the full range of emotions that helps us to get through life. Ruler is a systemic approach to social and emotional learning. We want to give school districts the opportunity to build a common language for social and emotional learning.
You need a feeling, or else you can't cooperate, you can't communicate, and you can't really do anything. If you were mad, you can't talk about being mad and be calmer.
Too many kids are holding it all in, and we're seeing a rise in anxiety and stress in children that doesn't need to be there.
They're really thinking about cyberbullying and body shaming as opposed to academics.
If we are all working together on our social emotional language, we are making the school a safer, more caring, and joyful place to be for all children.
Research shows that kids who go through this kind of training are less stressed. They do have less depression.
Students are having better conversations with each other. Discipline incidents have decreased. Students are able to be more creative. It really supports the development of the whole child in every way.
Ruler is a set of 5 key skills that are the underlying skills of emotional intelligence: recognizing, understanding, labeling, expressing, regulating emotions. We use a set of anchor tools to help people build greater self-awareness, to build a better emotional vocabulary.
The tools have helped make our students more aware of their classmates.
We're trying to give everyone the opportunity to become more emotionally skilled.
Try to empathize with the other character as well. How do you think the other person felt? And how did the other person show and handle their feelings?
Ruler begins by training the adults in schools to shift their mindsets around the value and importance of emotions.
Just teaching them the ruler skills and the anchor tools and using it in everything we did with each other.
Because educators, like kids, come from many different places. And so really getting them to take a look and reflect upon their own practices. What are they doing and how do they resolve the issues that they are feeling within?
We really are investing in making sure that all of the adults are all embracing this approach so that every student can be successful.
With this, you're going to be able to teach.
We also work with families because we want children and their parents or caretakers to have the same language.
There's no doubt that the ruler approach allows for enhanced learning.
This is an approach that is for everyone. It helps everyone learn strategies to help them manage their lives so they can be healthier, happier, and more effective. My real hope is that every school would embed these principles into the way leaders lead, teachers teach, and students learn.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea into Ruler, some insight. It is an evidence-based approach, which we're excited about in District 25, and it really not only deals with the individual skills that are being taught to the children, but it also sustains and builds positive emotional climate, which is what is surrounding children when they're in school. So it works with the adults in the room and the families as well. Ruler is for everyone. So it means training all members of the community, starting with leaders, faculty, and staff. And then this year, we're slowly starting to train the kids and introduce some of the concepts to the kids. And then we're also rolling it out for families, just slowly, a little bit at a time. Why should schools implement Ruler? Like I said, creating a positive environment where students feel safe to learn and people get along with each other. So what the data is really pretty compelling, that classrooms and schools that have implemented Ruler report more positive climates, less bullying, increase in attendance, and a decrease in suspensions. And students within Ruler schools, when they're asked for their feedback, fewer attention problems, better academic performance, more autonomy and leadership, less anxiety and depression. So the emotional skills of Ruler are the first R, recognizing emotion, so being able to understand when something is happening to you, understanding emotions, understanding the impact, how much it does influence our attention, memory, learning, decision making, mental and physical health, Labeling emotions, so just being able to have a wider range of vocabulary than happy, mad, sad. Numerous studies have shown that as kids increase their labeling ability, if they have a larger range of words to describe their emotions, that they're better able to regulate the emotion. It's actually a cognitive process in the brain. It's super interesting. Expressing is the next E, so how we express our emotions, when we can be free to express ourselves, when we need to maybe keep things under wraps for a while, who we express it to, just all of the tricky things that go along with expression. And then finally, the most difficult of all, regulating emotion. So what do we do to calm ourselves down when we're experiencing a difficult emotion? And on the other end of that, how do we sustain positive emotions if we're feeling really good? How do we keep that going longer? The tools that you're going to be hearing about and seeing things come home about would be the charter, the mood meter, the meta moment, and the blueprint. So those, keep an eye out this year. Those will be rolled out slowly to the students, and then you will get some things mailed home to you as well. The charter looks at how we want to feel in school. So how do we want to feel, and then what behaviors would help us to achieve those feelings as often as possible. The mood meter is simply a way of trying to identify how you're feeling. So it looks at your energy level and your pleasantness or your overall mood. And then provides a huge range of vocabulary, emotional vocabulary words to help students identify. The meta moment is sort of taking that pause between stimulus and response. So when something happens in your world, in a child's world, being able to pause and see their best self, see how they would want to respond in that situation, and giving themselves a moment to breathe and to think, and just kind of creating that gap so that they have a better chance of responding in the best way possible. And then the blueprint looks at how to handle conflict. So this year, this is just kind of to wrap things up, we're doing a gradual rollout with students. We have 8 introductory lessons. All the lessons are the same across 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but they are slightly differentiated according to developmental level, but it's the same core 8 lessons. Teachers, us, will finish up the remaining adult lessons. We did most of them last year, but we have a couple left over. Teachers will begin to slowly incorporate the core routines of Ruler, so maybe looking at how they could use the mood meter in, let's say, a science activity or before a big language arts test or something. So just starting to kind of embed some of those core tools into academic teaching, so that social emotional learning isn't just something that we do separately on a certain day at a certain time. Ruler is being introduced to families through the Cardinal Corner newsletter. There will also be some parent information nights, and then throughout the year some literature and information sent home. And then we'll be gathering some student voice and input about Ruler and SEL, so how the lessons are going, what they're learning, and seeking their input on how to make it better. Ruler for Families, this is the introduction, so thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch this. The goal of Ruler Families is to connect students' families to the work being accomplished within the school and create a shared language. So again, the shared vocabulary, shared language can go a long way. And if you have questions beyond that, let me see, I think my email's on here. Yeah, you can reach me. My name is Erin, Lillie-McMains at sd25.org, or you can send an email to Dr. Morrison, jmorrison at sd25.org. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much for listening.